So, as you can imagine, having two Sharons involved in the project can be confusing. Um, Alongside the website resource and the archive of literally hundreds of interviews, the project has hosted numerous events, conferences, awards programs, and lots of local initiatives. Like there's too many to mention. Personally, there have been many moments where I felt very proud or very humbled by things that happen. I really love seeing a random photo on social media of someone wearing a Women in Lighting t-shirt, or looking around a room like this and seeing so many countries represented and sitting together. Um, Being able to connect people together professionally or support someone who's personally reached out, make it a really valuable initiative to us. We've also been able to do things like celebrate amazing women in the form of giving awards, creating initiatives like the one we did during COVID to keep us connected, or trying something new like curating a book to promote women light artists. It's really made it an exciting personal journey. So one of the things we did during COVID was create a one-day virtual event for International Women's Day called the Global Gathering. And throughout the day, the event shifted focus from Asia Pacific to Europe, and then the Middle East, Africa, and the Americas. It was a long day for us, wasn't it? And then the Global Gathering ran again in 2022. And last year we turned it around. We undertook a global gathering of data. So we launched a survey aiming to look at the lighting profession in the context of the theme of International Women's Day 2023, which was embracing equity. And we wanted to gather a really comprehensive impression of the lighting industry in both terms of where it was doing well and where it needed to improve. So the results of the survey are now available, and we really hope that they are a valuable contribution to the profession as a whole. And I'm going to hand over Martin to talk briefly on some of the things we found.
I'm not here just to click the button. That's good. So I think why did we collect this data is a great point to start. And Georgia Lupi, who was a trained architect, worked at Pentagram, and then became an information designer. She creates amazing graphs and data. If you don't know her work, definitely check it out. But she says data represents real life. It's a snapshot of the world and captures a picture of a small moment in time. So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to draw a line in the sand. We wanted to find out what was happening in the world of lighting. And you responded massively. We had like 800 responses nearly. It was open to everybody. We wanted to encourage male engagement. It was still a little bit low, so it's about 30%, as you can see there. But we got 73 countries contributing. The size of the circle represents the number of people from each country. So you can see GB, USA, India, Italy, Germany, all sort of bigger contributors. But we literally covered 73 different countries. And that was a lot of data. This is the data that we gathered. This is our sort of spreadsheet of the raw data. And we just thought, oh, what have we done? We're not data scientists. We're not even close to data scientists, are we? So how are we going to handle all this data? So we sort of took a leaf out of George's book. We thought, okay, we'll look at each question and we'll turn it into a diagram. We'll turn it into some charts to try and make it more understandable, more digestible. But it was still a lot of data that became a lot of graphs. A lot of graphs. So what I thought I would do was share with you a couple of my favorite ones now, and then obviously tell you how you can get to the rest of them. But this is one of my favorite questions that we asked and the favorite responses. I feel like it's quite personal and insightful because we asked you to rate your own opinion of yourself in these 8 criteria: creativity, scientific knowledge, artistic ability, technical skill. You can all see that. And this is the results. So obviously, it's nice. Everybody in the lighting profession rates themselves quite well, 6.5 above. So we're all obviously very skilled. And again, we're not data experts, so we tried not to draw any conclusions from this. But somebody told us that data is more interesting when you intersect it. So you don't just look at what the average answer is, you cross it over with some of the other criteria. So if we look at rating your skills relative to gender, again, it's pretty evenly spread. The biggest spread I think you can see is at the end in organization, where sort of female respondents rated themselves much higher than male respondents in terms of organization. But there's also sort of some shifts in the technical areas as well. But then we sort of thought, well, okay, so how would you rate your skills if you're a member of a professional organization? Does that make you higher skill level? We don't, I mean, obviously we don't know the answer to that, but obviously you think you do. So if you can see that it's close, but consistently higher rating for people who are a member of a professional organization. So we thought, okay, well, if you want to give your staff more confidence, then maybe you should get them to join a professional organization because that'll help them. But this is my this really appeals to my geeky side. This is the favorite one because I always want to know what's the best, Mac or PC. Everybody wants to know that question. So then we looked at this, Mac or PC, and to be fair, it's pretty much the same on most of the things, but Mac users rate themselves much higher in the creative and artistic sides. But if you want the ultimate employee, then you should look for somebody who uses Linux. So if you don't know what that is, that's an open source language. But Linux users rate themselves really high, 9 in everything. But don't be looking for emotional support from a Linux user. That is literally the lowest thing that they can do. And then, does the size of the company that you work for affect your rating of yourself in this? Not really. It's fairly consistent. Again, apart from artistic ability, where the responses were people who work for smaller companies feel that they're much more artistic about themselves than people who work for larger companies. So this is one little snapshot that we looked at from the data, and there's a lot more further analysis that can come out of this. And if you want to do it, we're more than happy to share the data with you. It's all totally anonymized. We had no personal nature in there. But if you think, okay, I want to look at what people's most important goal is compared with what country they're from, we can share this raw data with you as long as you share your findings back with us and we sort of spread it out. So if you want to see the report, as Sharon said, when you get your hoodie later, it has a little QR code tag on it. This QR code will take you to the report. You can download it in its entirety. All of those graphs can be yours.
Please look at these graphs. They took a long time to do. But as Martin said, we didn't really want to draw conclusions from them and tell you this is what we think the industry is or is like. We would like you to draw your own conclusions. So before we hand over to our proper speakers, I'm just going to say one more thing. We're often asked, what is the point of women in lighting? Or, I don't get it. Isn't it time we stopped going on about women? It's very divisive, etc., etc. We completely disagree, obviously. We think this digital platform that's been created is very celebratory. The aims of the project have always been to try and do something that's primarily positive. We don't want to create a forum for negativity, and we felt the best thing we could do was to showcase the amazing work of women working in lighting from everywhere in the world. We felt that we would like to create visible role models for others in the industry who might be looking for people like them, with the objective of encouraging and improving the diversity in all areas of the lighting industry. That goes for manufacturing. When you walk around the show, we definitely need some more women on stands. The project has also used social activism to highlight and challenge unconscious bias in the industry via a really strong social media presence that's got a very large following. I'm sure Katia will mention that. And as Sharon Magnaji said, the project is also supported by individual women around the world, some of whom are here. And these ambassadors really are a driving force for the project, creating lots of local things and partnering together globally. So when people say, what's the point? We would like to say that the call for everyone to embrace feminism stems from a real fundamental understanding of what feminism truly represents. And that's the belief in and advocacy for equality of the sexes, encompassing not only women's rights, but also challenging systemic inequalities that affect people of all genders. We should all be feminists. So feminism is not just for the benefit of women. It's a universal call to action for a more fair, inclusive, and equitable society. Its principles benefit everyone by challenging outdated norms, promoting equality, and advocating for the rights of all individuals. So today is, of course, International Women's Day 24, and the theme this year is Inspire Inclusion. So the website says, imagine a gender equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination, a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive, and a world where difference is valued and celebrated. So hopefully, together we can work towards forging women's equality. Together we can celebrate women's achievements, and together we can raise awareness about discrimination. So hopefully together we can all inspire inclusion. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to some of the speakers.